been? Where have you been? Welcome back to Reality in Balance. Welcome back. So today's title is called Overcoming Childhood Trauma, Reclaiming Hope and Sovereignty. All right, let me tell you guys why you have to, and you need to is absolutely adamant and necessary for you to reclaim hope, sovereignty from childhood trauma. Necessary. For one, society knows that the majority of people have been traumatized, but I'm referring to the 1 in 3 girls and the 1 in 6 boys who will experience being SA'd before they turn 18. So, like, millions of people should be up in this live because that stat has not changed since they started collecting the data. It has not changed, right? It may differentiate on the line of the boys, but with the girls, it's always been 1 in 3 girls, and between 1 in 4 and 1 in 6 boys will be SA'd before they turn 18. That's a lot of people. Society knows this as a whole, that the majority of people, have been traumatized, have been abused in some form or way, even if it is like neglect, emotional abuse, physical abuse. All right. Society knows this. They know this. Not only that, you don't even have to look too far as the elite, pressures. You can just look to people around you that know of your disalignment as well and will continue to profit off of it by profiting off of your energy, by profiting off of your low energy. I'm talking about your parents, your guardians, your caretakers, your friends, your manager, your boss, your neighbor, right? They all benefit and profit from you being traumatized as well, right? They know this. They know this, right? So I'm talking to the specific area. The 1 in 3 girls and the 1 in 6 boys will be SA'd before they turn 18. Generally, I'm speaking to an audience, obviously, who are over 18 years of age. Okay. So I'm here to realign you, to reclaim your sense of sovereignty, and bring back that light, that crown chakra, or just to continue to light your crown chakra even higher. Because absolutely, just because you were afflicted at one point in time does not mean that has to follow you throughout all your days. It doesn't have to follow you. That trauma, that negligent parent and all that good stuff, it does not have to follow you, right? But they will, society as a whole entirely will profit off of the trauma that was done towards you, everybody. This is why, like I said before, we have so many fast foods, right? Why we have so many Starbucks, while there's like infinite umpteen amount of pharmaceutical medications to pacify individuals. Okay. Not only that, people around you will profit energetically off of the sound waves of your lower energy, the senses of not speaking up, speaking your truth in general. Just even in general, not speaking your truth, Taking the low ball, being the scapegoat, being the yes person, afraid to say no, Don't have any boundaries. Energetically, people around you are profiting off of you as well, you guys. So listen here. We're going to spend just a couple more minutes talking about like how to reclaim your sovereignty, how to reclaim the hope within oneself, the temple within yourself, the crown chakra, making sure that crown chakra continues to shine, continues to be a light, to be a beacon of light, right, is what they're saying for you and for your environment. Don't allow people to profit off of your emotions, So what I have here first, y'all. Actually, I took a piece from my Value One Affirmations for a Survivor. Okay, expressions of individuality. If y'all was here yesterday, you know that we talked about the sense of I am, which came from the chapter creator. We're still talking about the chapter creator. Now, the words of power affirmation that I have in mind is I create all hope. Okay. That is the second words of power affirmation underneath the chapter creator. All right. So this is where all this information is coming from. Okay. Yesterday is I am. Today is I create all hope. Right. And I have a few messages in relations to creating hope. All right. One of the lines that stand out the most in this words of power affirmation is if someone or individual is experiencing hopelessness, that means there is more room for you to grow, right? Because to be hopeful is to know that changes are underway, right? This is how we're going to reestablish the highest senses of ourselves, reclaiming sovereignty from CSA. All right. Is to always remain in that high vibrational altitude. Like MC Hammer said, you can't touch this kind of altitude, right? The highest senses of your crown chakra is always experiencing being hopeful, being hopeful, being hopeful in every and all circumstances. But more importantly, from CSA, because when it comes to CSA, it's a dark cloud, a forevermore dark cloud that lingers around you, behind you, next to you, underneath your feet, right? From the simplicity of not speaking your truth. Not only that, it affects your internal organs, the internal senses of yourself, right? From experiencing CSA. This is all done by design, right? Because your mind wasn't even fully functioned when this was going about, like, you know what I'm saying? When you were afflicted, your mind wasn't even fully functioned. So you have carried all of this long drawn out weight. If you realize it or not, okay, it's there. It's in the deepest, darkest shadows following you. And this is how these spirits become gang. They become gang from your caretakers, from your guardians, from your boss, from your supervisor, because they know, forget the people, the spirits know that you haven't spoke your truth, right? They know that this issue is still within you just from simply not speaking up and speaking out. They will gang on you. They will gang and gain on you. Hopefully that makes sense. All right. Because to be hopeful is to know that powerful changes are underway. So, all right, y'all. See what y'all saying in the chat. Blessed and highly favored. Ashe. All right, y'all. So listen. So sovereignty. Sovereignty. What does it mean to be a sovereign individual? You don't have to be a woman. You don't have to be a man. You don't have to be a cow. You don't have to be a sheep to claim sovereignty. But this is the first initiation to staying high above through it all, is reclaiming your sovereignty. Okay. So y'all listen, I wrote that. Sovereignty is the moment you reclaim absolute authority over your internal world, which we were just talking about, your decisions, and your identity. Controlling your internal world, controlling your internal altitude, your emotions. Okay. Your decisions making. Yes, sir, master. Yes, sir, master. I gotta decline that call. Yes, sir, master. No, so master. Or no, hiding your face. No, 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 no. Instead of being like, nope, like John Witherspoon or somebody did this. Nope, no. Simple. No. Right? That goes with your decision making. Taking the crown back to the higher aspects of oneself, from your environment, right? Promoting your environment, those who are gaining from you, those who are really receiving the profit from your emotions. Okay, this is claiming sovereignty. The caretakers, the people who surround you, who took care of you, that were your guardians. Okay, we're claiming sovereignty there as well, right? Because, like I said, necessarily it's not them, it's the spiritual life form that you cannot see that has been manifested from CSA, that are able to influence the people around you. And especially if you had guardians and caretakers, right, that you still resume some kind of relationship with today. If you haven't spoke up or spoke your truth, okay, about CSA, not trying to rhyme or anything. The spirits know how to influence them to gain your energy, to profit off of your emotions, right? Or the circumstances that originally condition you. Sorry, I had to put that on do not disturb. So that's what sovereignty is: reclaiming the highest senses of yourself. Okay, standing up for yourself, having more boundaries when it comes to your decision making, right? Having influence entirely 100% on the internal hemispheres of who you are, right? Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why that all individuals who have been a survivor of CSA need to claim their sovereignty, right? That was just the definition of what sovereignty is. Okay. Sovereignty. Okay. So a little blurb and then we'll talk about it. Hello, hello, hello. So childhood trauma trains a young mind into hypervigilance, constantly scanning others for danger, approval, or their mood always be constantly shifting, right, to stay safe. You know what I'm saying? This is a natural occurrence if you were going through that, you know what I'm saying, in the earliest development of your life, right? You're naturally be looking at people like, I don't trust you, I don't trust you, I don't trust you, I don't trust you, I can't talk to you, I can't be around anybody. Okay, this comes from CSA, but this can also be from neglect in any forms of abuse too. But we're talking about those who are younger than 18 that were inflicted by, right? They are hyper vigilant of this, being untrustworthy of other people. Okay. So, when you are a sovereign individual today, right, taking back, okay, refurbishing, honestly, you guys, like the highest senses of yourself, refurbishing it. It means that your life around you, you're not going to be basically. All right, I'm reading off a piece of paper and I already know what I'm going to say, y'all. So like those people around you, you're taking your sovereignty back, the decision making of oneself. Okay, you're not going to be reacting based on other people, how they want you to react. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people who have went through CSA, they become like this yes sir master or this no sir master, right, to bend at other people's will, right? You always want to be agreeable to other people's will, to other people's saying, you know what I'm saying, to protect your emotions, right? You want to be in alignment with somebody else's emotions. Okay, this has happened because of CSA, a natural occurrence that just happened. Okay, and that continues to follow you like a shadow, always bending your emotions, always bending your emotions to coincide with another, you know, to get along with another, to keep the peace with another person, you know what I'm saying? And not speaking the peace of yourself just in general. All right, so claiming your sovereignty, you're not going to be like reacting to other people and their emotions to please them, okay? Because basically they're just bystanders anyway. Again, you're going to claim sovereignty to govern your own emotional, nervous system slash your nervous system, okay? The emotional makeup of the actions of your emotions, right? The things and how you do it from day to day, like what brings you happy, what brings you joy, what brings you sadness. You know what I'm saying? Whatever that helps you get up and react on day to day, right? You yourself internally, you're going to be able to govern those internal hemispheres based on being a sovereign individual. What makes you happy? What makes you roll out of bed every day? Okay. Or what helps you to be peaceful going to sleep at night instead of thinking about other people, how they did you wrong, or this or that, some shit that happened in the past. You're going to be thinking about what brings you joy from day to day. Oh, I'm going to get up, I'm going to roll out of bed because I got this to do, or because I love myself, or because I'm happy, or because, you know what I'm saying, I got this new this or new that, or because I have this old this or that I'm going to put on and I'm going to wear today. I'm going to feel good about myself. And when you go to bed at night, it's like, oh man, I can't wait till the next day because, you know, I'm going to make the next day even better than what it was today. Right? Governing your own emotions, not thinking about other people. And I mean, your job, your position, whoever your caretakers are, your partner, your husband, your wife, your brother, your sister, you know what I'm saying? Your emotions belong to you. Therefore, you govern your emotions because they are going to help you define and continue towards your purpose. So, being a sovereign individual, you'll be able to sleep at night. Honestly, I know a few people who have to smoke, who have to take NyQuil, who have to take Ambien in order to go to sleep at night. That's because they say that they have to, right? See, that placebo is having to. But little do they know, right? If they were able to speak up and speak out about the things that occurred to them, towards them in their childhood, and know that it does not define them today, but it allows you to gain greater purpose towards your day to day. Happy to be here. And I think, you know, as we get older, the more that we stuff ourselves down and don't talk about our truths, right? They become like death alleyways where you have to take Ambien, you have to smoke weed, okay? That you have to take NyQuil just to go to sleep, just to go to sleep at night. What do you do when you wake up? Do you take other things to wake up to feel? Because that's insane. We just talked about, you know, controlling your emotional, your internal hemispheres before you go to bed and when you wake up. And that is being on your purpose, okay? Have your purpose is being able to speak out on your truth is one thing that needs to be behind you, right? Not carrying on or lingering on to past traumas, you guys. So we did talk about having access to your energy the first couple minutes of the live, right? Claiming sovereignty. You have the absolute right to give your energy, have boundaries for your energy. So you're not overburdened. So you're not overstimulated. You get to choose who has your energy or not. Because in the past, when you were dealing with CSA, right, Your energy was all over the place because your whole metabolic system wasn't even complete, right? The adrenaline was high, the cortisol is high. So this is why so many people are overstimulated today, right? This is why a lot of people are burnt out by their job because they thinking that is the way of life is burnout. So they don't have the ability to regulate and to put boundaries, strict boundaries on who and where to give your energy to. Like if you're racing around all day, if you're always in a hurry, right? You're not giving energy to yourself, you're giving energy to something else outside of you. Because what does running around and racing all day really do? You know, you can't relax. It takes a lot for you to relax. Even your relaxing mode, you're not relaxing, you're probably cleaning something, you're probably doing something. Like you don't have the ability just to sit with oneself, okay? From being that CSA mode, right? Still in survival mode. But once you claim sovereignty, but when you claim sovereignty, you naturally put boundaries on your energy because your energy belongs to you. Okay, moving on. Moving on, y'all. So that blurt, not only did we discover like what sovereignty is, but we talked about how childhood trauma trains a young mind to be hyper vigilant, right? When you think of being hyper vigilant, is being able to, having given people access to your energy and given access to your emotions, or if affects you so much that you can't even go to bed at night. Okay, or you can't even relax at certain times when you're supposed to relax. You always got to be doing something. You always got to be moving around. Or if you're relaxing, you always got to be high. You always got to be drunk, or you always got to be smoking a cigarette. Okay. Another reason, y'all. Thank y'all for being here, liking the live. Appreciate you. Trauma often assigns you a predetermined script. The people pleaser, being the scapegoat, or being the invisible child, or the person who always wants to fix things, someone who always has the answer, who always wants to fix something, someone who always have the solutions, giving all your energy away, right? Trauma often assigns you a predetermined script. The people pleaser, the scapegoat, the invisible child, or the fixer. Okay, so you have people, individuals in your life, or was in your life, right, who were the invisible child. Okay, all of a sudden they're an adult. You don't hear from them anymore, right? You don't see them. You don't talk to them anymore. Okay, they are embodying the invisible child from CSA, right? Or the scapegoat individual, right? Someone who don't set up boundaries, natural boundaries. Okay, they allow for people to pick, to point, to be that individual, right, that never has the right answers or never does the right things. You're always that person. You're always that person, right, that people want to project their issues on, always being that individual. Okay, or you're the fixer, the type of individuals who, you know what I'm saying, can fix everything and every person else, but don't have the ability to see what's going on the inside. Okay, that's what we're talking about. So a sovereignty is the conscious act of dropping those internal survival roles. So claiming sovereignty, you reclaim being a survivor to a thriver, right? You get rid of those internal survival roles of being that scapegoat, being that fixer. You know what I'm saying? Because you're just giving all of your essence away. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I hope y'all still with me. Anyway, let's go. Let's go. Because we don't want this to be too long. This is just something for everybody to reflect on and why it is necessary to speak out about trauma. We don't care how long it's been. Because what you're really doing is you are finding and regaining your purpose now. Just being a sovereign individual. Okay. You're getting your health back in alignment because you're a sovereign individual. Okay. You done moved on to different careers, or you're taking up some other studies now to better yourself because you're sovereign. Because you're sovereign. You're not going to stay stuck in loops because you're sovereign. You're able to move around, right? Reclaiming the hopeful of the highest abilities of yourself. Okay? Reclaiming sovereignty, knowing that you're hopeful in every avenue, in every way. Because we keep saying that life is short. Life is not a be, then you die. That is for someone who, you know, not you. Not you. That's someone who is windmilling at life, talking about life is a being, then you die. No, baby. This is like, I like when someone, I was listening to someone the other day and they said that this life, this is basically you being in a cocoon, but when you transform is when you become a butterfly, right? Think about that. So, we talked a lot about energetic boundaries. Here's just a little bit more about having energetic boundaries. So, by you claiming sovereignty, sovereignty is the ability to say no without guilt and say yes without fear of abandonment. Claiming sovereignty, it transforms boundaries from rigid, defensive walls into clear, self respecting standards that protect your peace, honor, and your vessel. Okay. I love to talk about how you're reclaiming your health, you're reclaiming your wealth, and you can eat clean and clear all day. You can lower your cholesterol and your blood pressure all day, right? But if you haven't reclaimed sovereignty by speaking out about your truth, what does that all really mean? I had a family member, ate clean, worked out, had a really good job, but was with a partner, a wife, who was the nastiest person ever. Mean, hateful, and controlling. Mean, hateful, and controlling. And they stayed in that relationship because that's what people supposed to do. Basically, because honestly, he'd seen my grandparents, how they operate, how they worked, how there was abuse within that relationship, and how they stayed together. Although one was abusive and maybe they both was abusive, I wasn't there, but he witnessed that. But what stood out the most is that they stayed together. So in his adulthood, he reclaimed that sense of staying together in abuse. Maybe he didn't think that emotional and verbal abuse was abuse, but yeah, it is. He ended up transforming. He ended up getting sick, actually. He ended up getting sick and he ended up transforming. Ate well, didn't sleep well. They slept in separate bedrooms, right? Worked out, nice career, made nice money, but he still stayed with an individual that was abusive, okay? There was no boundaries there. There was no protection energetically. That's just one example of many. You know what I'm saying? Or it could be the other way around. Maybe you got boundaries, strict boundaries. You know what I'm saying? Maybe, you know, you're not allowing people to treat you some certain kind of way, but you could be eating terribly. There is no judgment. It's just like the alignment isn't there entirely. Okay. So claiming sovereignty As a survivor of CSA, it helps develop in the senses of who you are. It continues to help you evolve in this lifetime, in the next lifetime. Because what I like to say the most is that those behind the veil, the unseen, right, the shadows, the spirit, will and know how to manipulate people to gain and to gain off of you, to steal your emotional value. Bosses, relatives, strangers, you know what I'm saying? So many levels. I'm just getting like so many different examples on so many levels how these spirits out here, right? These shadows that continues to follow you, simply not speaking out and speaking your truth. Those other people in your environment will gain off of you because the spirit needs your emotions. Okay? It needs to keep you at a certain level. They need you to be afraid to say yes or afraid to say no. And they need for your adrenaline, okay, to always, your cortisol to always be sky high because they don't want you to sleep. They don't want you to wake up being blissed and highly favored. They don't want you to go throughout your days blissed and highly favored. Not only that, society wants to keep you low so we can continue to have a Sonic, so we can continue to have five brothers. I don't know, whatever. They try to make burger stands elite. And don't get me wrong, they're not bad if you eat it every now and again. I personally don't eat meat, but they're not bad. I'm not there to judge to say like, oh, you can't eat no burger or no hot dog ever. But what it is what you put inside of your mind. I'm telling you, whatever you put inside your stomach and your mind. Remember, we were talking about that vessel, that connection between your brain and your stomach, right? That is what's truly going to control you, because I'm sure a lot of people, when they start to eat really bad, right, their dreams are crazy. So that's letting you know right then and there. So don't allow people, y'all, to gain off of your energy. Fast food, the dispensary, um, you know, they keep saying alcohol beverages. I don't know why they're saying that instead of liquor store, but alcohol beverages, right? Stealing your frequency, lowering your frequency. They want you, the senses of your higher self, but those that surround you, that are your cheerleaders, they want you to claim sovereignty. They want you to claim sovereignty. Okay? Once again, the moment you reclaim absolute authority over your internal world, your decisions, your identity, is helping you to refurbish your crown, the highest senses of yourself, okay? From the environment, the caretakers, the watchers, for that reason, okay? Or, and or the circumstances that originally conditioned you to be low vibrational. Okay, y'all. So they want me to ask y'all a question and we'll get out of here, and maybe you'll type it in the chat or after the video. So which one of those points would you identify with, right? Which one of those points have you overcame or that you will overcome, right? Experiencing hopelessness, or how your mind and body was trained to be hyper vigilant, where you can't even remain still or get any sense of peace today, or your identity, like the sense of yourself being the yes person, the no person, being the scapegoat, okay, being the one who disappeared and no one has heard from. Okay, do you identify with that? Or do you identify as being like the fixer, right? Having solutions for everything and everyone else. Okay. Or the last part that we're talking about, energetic boundaries. Okay. not being able to stand up for yourself ultimately. Okay, not being able to say a resounding yes, I graduated. Yes, this day is going to get better and better. Yes, or no, I'm not doing that. Okay, so which one of those points do you know, could you learn from that you have already overcame, right? That you identify within yourself or that you identify with someone else, right? Which do you identify with ultimately or with someone else? Which one of those points that we talked about? Because how many times I'm going to come back on here and say that claiming sovereignty is your health and it is your wellness. It's your health and it's your wellness. If not, then the shadow world or the shadow senses of yourself will reclaim your health and your wellness through your emotions as they eat big time, big plates off of your sense of lack as a sovereign individual. So important. I'll donate $100 in infusion. You have the dollar sigil in the wrong area. But anyway, I understand. Listen, y'all, that's going to complete the live. Like I said, that came from out of Affirmations for a Survivor, Expressions of Individuality. And that came from the chapter of Creator. And the Words of Power affirmation is titled, I Create All Hope. And creating hope is being that sovereign individual. Okay. My 1 through 3 volume affirmations are available on Amazon. I recommend you start with volume 1, the one that we're going to stick with for some time now, right? Expressions of individuality. You know what I'm saying? Shawnee Janelle is the name. I want y'all to balance and heal in peace. Bye, y'all. Talk to you in a couple hours. Enjoy these days. Hallelujah. Thank yourself. Bye, y'all. Talk to you later.